Hey folks, this is Riker with a gaming news wrap-up video where we discuss the happenings of the week. This week's topics include the latest Diablo 4 news, including my take on the new class theory, how much Blizzard is being fined over Diablo Immortal loot boxes, a roundup of announcements from the PlayStation Showcase, which disappointed a lot of fans, and more. As always, discussion timestamps can be found in the description below. But right before you skip ahead, just a quick reminder to ring that sub notification bell to be alerted to new Saturday episodes and stay up to date with gaming news highlights. But before we move on, just a quick word from this video's sponsor. I built my website Riker.com using Squarespace, and I was able to do everything myself, quickly and easily, and with zero education in the field, all thanks to how easy Squarespace is to work with. Watch how easily I update the Diablo 3 section of my website to include all my video coverage of the latest season updates. Squarespace is flexible for any kind of website, whether for your business or your hobby, with tons of templates that you can easily customize to your needs, no knowledge of coding required. You can even connect your social media profiles to automatically push website content to your socials, set up members-only areas with exclusive content, and sell products. Basically, if you want to build a website, I recommend Squarespace. It's the all-in-one platform for building your brand and growing your business online. You don't need to install a bunch of plugins, and you never have to worry about updates or patches. Stand out with a beautiful website, engage with your audience, and sell anything. Your products, content you create, even your time. Squarespace is offering my viewers 10% off your first purchase with them. Just go to squarespace.com/Riker or click the link in the description to sign up and start building your online presence. That's squarespace.com/RHYKKER and use code Riker to get started today. So starting off with Diablo 4 news, we got this week the launch trailer for Diablo 4, which gives many more glimpses at different cinematics in the game, revealing new characters, some of which are definitely enemies. Oh, and Blizzard once again used a song that led people to downvote the video for not being appropriate. This time, the song was Nightmare by Halsey, who is apparently a Diablo fan, and I mean, the song is called Nightmare. Now, if you don't want to watch the trailer to avoid story spoilers, then skip the next part of this video. I'll have a timestamp that goes after the discussion that'll touch upon some spoilers. I don't think it's anything major, but I know some people don't want to see any story trailers for movies as well, right? They just don't want to have anything spoiled, so again, skip ahead to that next timestamp. So looking at the trailer, we see around 39 seconds what appears to be the Amalgam of Rage. This was added as a mount in World of Warcraft as a crossover cosmetic. Given the framing that we're seeing in this shot, it seems that the Amalgam and its rider serve Lilith, or at the very least are on Lilith's side. We also do get reaffirmation that Lilith serves neither heaven nor hell, which disputes some theories that Lilith is trying to get back into the good graces of the primevals. At about 44 seconds, we see Lilith holding what appears to be a soul stone. And it's not Diablo's red soul stone, it's not Mephisto's blue soul stone. It looks similar to Baal's soul stone, which was yellow. It's similar in shape to Baal's, but Baal's was more yellow and this one seems more orange. Still, it is the closest match, both in terms of shape and color. Then, at a minute and 17 seconds, we see more of that epic fight between Inarius and Lilith's forces in what appears to be hell. And then, at a minute and 35 seconds, we see Inarius' high priestess Prava about to be killed by demons. Will Inarius save her? I'd love to speculate more with you folks, but I've actually had Diablo 4 review access for a few days. You can expect my review to come up next week after the embargo lifts. But I encourage you folks to speculate in the comments. And then you can speculate on whether I'm giving hearts to comments that include correct theories, or whether I'm just hearting comments that I enjoy, or maybe I'm trying to throw you guys off.
Tricksy hobbitses.
Now, we also got a live-action trailer this week, which is pretty impressive. We see some awesome cosplay and gymnastics mixed with great CGI effects of actual spells from the game, all while NPCs face the camera and beg us for help, which felt a bit awkward in its fourth wall breaking. I personally would have preferred the trailer without that, but it might actually make it a more effective commercial for people who aren't already aware of Diablo 4. It's so odd that it stands out to you, and I guess you'll be more likely to remember it. The devs also released a blog post with all the info we need for the game's release. Again, early access begins June 1st at 4 p.m. PDT for those who pre-purchased a Digital Deluxe or Ultimate Edition before official launch, and that official launch is on June 5th at 4 p.m. PDT. Then preloads begin on May 30th at 4 p.m. PDT for those who purchase the game so that you can have everything already installed and ready to go ahead of time. Also, Twitch drops will be enabled for some streamers from June 5th through July 2nd. Twitch drops are basically, you watch drops-enabled streamers for X amount of time while you're logged into a Twitch account, and if your Twitch account is hooked up to your Battle.net account, you're going to get cosmetic rewards that you can then redeem in-game. In this case, every week new cosmetics will be available to acquire, including weaponry colors and backslot items. Also, if you gift 2 Twitch subs to an eligible streamer's channel, you'll get the Primal Instinct mount. So throughout the 4 weeks of this event, the drops you can get include Rogue and Necromancer items on week 1. If you watch at least 3 hours of eligible Diablo 4 content, you'll get this dagger and sword weapon recolor. And if you watch 6 hours, you'll get the Matron Sigil Coffer back trophy for rogues, and the Progenitor Favor back trophy for necromancers. Then week 2 is for sorcerers. 3 hours gets you this wand recolor, and 6 hours gets you this back trophy. Week 3 is for druids. 3 hours of watching gets you this weapon recolor, and 6 gets you this back trophy. And the last week, week 4, is for barbarians, with 3 hours getting you this weapon cosmetic, and 6 hours earning you this back trophy. For a full list of eligible streamers, of which there seem to be hundreds, you can check the blog for yourself, link in the description. And just saying, I'm one of them. You can watch me, twitch.tv/Riker. You don't even need to own the game to get the drop. Obviously, you can't make use of the cosmetic without the game, but if you're still on the fence about buying Diablo 4, then you can still earn the cosmetics ahead of time just in case. Once you've earned a drop, you gotta claim it, and if you haven't yet linked your Battle.net account to your Twitch account, you'll have 7 days to do so after getting a drop. Also, by the way, folks, you can keep a stream running without watching it. Just saying. I know 6 hours is a lot, but the Twitch police don't have eye tracking yet, so, turn on a stream, go to work, go to dinner. If you really hate streamers and don't want to watch, there's workarounds. Then separately, if you're in the market for a new mouse or headphones, Steelseries and Control Freak unveiled a Diablo 4 collab with Blizzard. D4 style peripherals, the Arctis Nova 7 gaming headset, and Erox 5 gaming mouse from Steelseries, along with an XXL mousepad and keycaps, as well as performance thumbsticks from Control Freak for gamepad. Link in the description if you want to check those out for yourself. Then, in an interview with Mirror, Diablo 4 art director John Muller gave some insight into Diablo 4's narrative and who we can expect the story to focus on. In case there was any doubt, because I know we're hearing different theories about possible surprises, so when asked if it's fair to say that Lilith and Inarius are the main characters of Diablo 4, he said, quote, "That was one of the very early decisions that we made. We knew that Lilith was going to be the main foil, and we knew that Inarius was also. We wanted to tell the story about these two characters that have very prominent backstories. In all previous Diablo games, there was pretty much Diablo or Mephisto or Baal, and we knew that we wanted to kind of set the groundwork for this character to be like in that same echelon of power." Link to the full interview in the description. Then, in related news, Diablo Immortal is celebrating its 1-year anniversary on June 2nd with a Diablo 4 event that includes Lilith-themed cosmetics. Also, in July, they'll be releasing a new class, which was data mined to be a Blood Knight several months ago. Though Blizzard hasn't made it official yet, though they are heavily teasing it by using terms like bleed and blood. Blizzard says it'll be a mid-range class that uses a iconic weapon, which was leaked to be a spear. Now, I've heard some people theorize that the Blood Knight will also come to Diablo 4. I think that's a long shot. It is true that we don't have a spear wielder in D4, which would make the Blood Knight a good fit, but there's almost zero chance that we're going to get a 6th class in D4 anytime soon. And if the Blood Knight is coming to Immortal now, it would be a little anticlimactic for the first post-launch class in D4 to be yesterday's news from Immortal. The Blood Knight does seem like a super cool idea, but maybe down the line for D4, after we've gotten some distinctly Diablo 4 classes. The Blood Knight is technically the first truly new class to enter a Diablo game since the Crusader in 2014. And the Crusader was basically just a paladin, so you can argue since 2012. Every class in Immortal and D4 have technically existed in some form or another in a past Diablo game. But what do you folks think? Do you think that the Blood Knight will also come to D4? Sound off in the comments. We also got this week the third official Diablo lore video. This one covering a huge swath of the game's history, all the way up to the end of Diablo 2. And it sounds like the next episode will go straight to Diablo 3. Just this week, I released my own lore video on Diablo Immortal, which takes place between Diablo 2 and Diablo 3, and I intend to have my Diablo 3 lore video up before Diablo 4's launch, which means I'll be getting caught up right in time. I wonder if Blizzard will beat me to it, or if they'll even release on the same day that I'm planning to release on. Now look, the official Blizzard lore videos might have amazing production value, fantastic voiceover, great artwork and images and animation, but what they don't have is bad jokes. For that, I got you covered. Links to the lore videos in the description below. Also this week in a Q&A hosted by FGS, Associate Game Director Joe Pipora and Art Director John Mueller gave some insight into the design of Lilith as a villain and a character. And we got some new details about her dichromatic eyes.
Lilith is an interesting villain, being that she is both an antagonist but also the tempting mother of Sanctuary. How do you craft a villain that is both despised and adored?
Honestly, it really comes down to motivations. Villains that we typically find forgettable sometimes are really the mustache twirling, obvious villains who are up to no good for their own reasons and greed and just nothing else. Lilith's motivations are deeper and they're more complex. Like, no one is really entirely good or entirely evil, right? It's what are they after? What is the end result that they're looking for? And for Lilith, I think that because it's relatable on a more human level, we can understand it.
Yeah, and I would say, as far as how do you craft a villain that is both despised and adored, the answer is it's all in the eyes. And the story I have about Lilith is, if you look at her eyes, you'll notice that they are not red. Lilith is an outcast even amongst demons. And so you'll notice her eyes are actually like off-put. She has one gray eye and then one blue eye. And that blue eye, the reason why it's a blue eye, is because that is the part of her that is good. And she is not entirely evil, she's not entirely good. So if you ever wonder, if you see that one blue eye, why is it blue? That was the idea. We didn't want to make something that was just, the red-eyed demon.
Yeah, sure.
It's something I never really thought about or considered. And honestly, I don't expect this to be something that's explored in the game. But it's nice to see that these are all details that are thought about when building the character. It's not just, hey, it would be cool if she had dichromatic eyes. There's actually story and reason behind it, even if it'll never be revealed to the player. I mean, maybe originally it was, oh, this looks cool, but then they put more thought into it to help build the character. Then, in an interview with Rolling Stone, lead composer Ted Reedy spoke about why they didn't just try to recreate the iconic Diablo 2 music. He said, quote, "Obviously, the other composer on the game, Leo Chaleski, and I grew up playing Diablo 1 and Diablo 2. We idolized the games and those soundtracks. It's probably part of the reason why we wanted to have a career in writing music for video games. At the same time, if we try to just emulate or copy or mimic exactly that score, then probably what would come out is something unoriginal and not as good as it could be." I think the music in Diablo 4 is fantastic. Every zone has its own signature sound, and many of the songs are real earworms. I do believe that just trying to mimic Matt Ullman's style, the original Diablo 1 and Diablo 2 music composer, I think that would have been a bad idea. That's Matt Ullman's thing. That's his artistic voice, and someone else just trying to copy him would come across as just that, an impersonation. Later in the interview, he also talks about how the music has randomized elements in it. So basically, they wrote a piece of music, but then had a bunch of different people on a bunch of different instruments play the piece. And to put it simply, the game engine will randomize which instrument plays the melody, which part plays the harmony, so that every time you hear the song, it may be a little different. And I definitely noticed this. Well, I didn't realize this is what it was, but I noticed something was different. I noticed from the December beta, the press beta, to the open beta, I'm like, oh, they changed this song. Now there's more flutes, and last time I remember there being more string instruments. I thought they had just changed the song. I didn't realize, it's going to continue to be a little different every time. I find it really fascinating. Randomization is such an integral part of ARPGs. Randomized monsters, randomized loot, randomized dungeons. Why not randomized music? It makes sense. You can check out the full interview. A bunch of different members of the dev team chime in on a lot of different topics. Link below. Then, going back to Diablo Immortal a moment, Activision Blizzard has been fined over the loot box elements of Diablo Immortal. Basically, the European Ratings Board, PEGI, has issued a fine for failing to properly disclose that Diablo Immortal has paid random items. Now, you may ask, how big is this fine? Well, it is 5,000 euros. Not 5 million, not 500,000, not 50,000. 5,000 euros. And that's like 5,300 US dollars. The euro's not worth that much more than the USD. Not enough to make this make sense. I mean, many players have spent far more than that just on loot boxes. I mean, seriously, what incentive does any company have to follow regulations if it's more profitable to break the regulation and just pay the fine? Then, in separate but kind of related news, Blizzard is suing NetEase, that's their Diablo Immortal partner, over alleged copyright infringement and unfair competition. Now, we don't have many details on this just yet, but it will be going to court on June 1st. As a reminder, NetEase was suing Blizzard over refunds for the Blizzard games that were discontinued in China. So, this has just been a nasty breakup all around. It must make things really awkward for the Immortal team, because while the long-standing partnership contract between NetEase and Blizzard dissolved some months ago, Immortal is under a separate partnership contract that has not been cancelled. At this point, it's unclear how involved NetEase is with Immortal anymore. However, from what NetEase has said in the past, prior to the game's release, it seemed as though they were mostly involved early on, and maybe now Blizzard is handling everything themselves apart from Chinese distribution. Then, in some last Epoch news, the upcoming ARPG continued its hype week leading up to the launch of its newest update, Rising Flames, which released yesterday. The devs released a patch overview video that covers the major updates, which includes new multiplayer features like seeing other players in town so that you can party up or trade, improved ladders, new unique items and a new type of unique item, and more. We also got the full patch notes, of course, and with those patch notes, confirmation that patch 1.0, the release patch, the full launch, is confirmed for later this year. Then, in other news, this week saw the PlayStation Showcase, which many PlayStation fans actually found disappointing on account of a paucity of first-party PlayStation exclusives. They compared it more to a PlayStation State of Play, which is typically where you see the reveal of third-party titles. I'll give a super quick run-through of some highlights. We got confirmation of the rumored Metal Gear Solid 3 remake in the form of a reveal trailer that focuses oddly on ants and wildlife for the first minute before you see a snake and an alligator trying to eat each other. Get it? Because Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater. Also, they seem to be calling this title Metal Gear Solid Delta for reasons? A spokesperson said that the meaning of the symbol fits the concept of the remake project. So to me, Delta means change from mathematical notation, so maybe this remake will include some changes? They also announced a Metal Gear Solid Master Collection with Volume 1 coming in autumn, and it'll contain the first 3 MGS titles. We also got the debut trailer for Dragon's Dogma 2, and there's just something wonderfully nostalgic about the music at the very start, and the creatures in the trailer are looking fantastic. We got a release date trailer for survival horror game Alan Wake 2, which is out October 17th. It's looking solid, scary moments, great story. We got a trailer from Bungie, who's returning to their roots. Before they made Halo, they made a game called Marathon back in 1994. Now they're bringing back this title as a weird retro sci-fi PvP extraction shooter. We got the first gameplay footage of Assassin's Creed Mirage, which is another Return to Roots title, both in terms of setting and gameplay. Actual assassin gameplay with quick kills rather than drawn-out fights. The title is releasing on PS4 gen though, so don't expect mind-blowing graphics here. Then there was a 12-minute gameplay trailer of upcoming Spiderman 2, which is releasing this fall. Also, the devs confirmed on Twitter that the game is a single-player experience, no co-op or multiplayer of any kind. There was some confusion caused by the voice actor of Miles, who, when asked during a Q&A if the game had co-op, he said it did, but it's now evident that he just misunderstood the question. Like, Yes, two Spider-Mans cooperate in this game. That's co-op gameplay, right? We also got this week the announced trailer for Total War Pharoah, which will release in October. This happened a few days after the title was leaked on the official website. Whoops. And I'm not sure what it is with game trailers and insects recently, because this one starts off featuring a dung beetle rolling a ball of poop. That's really the imagery you want to go with for your game? Taking and shaping poop into something functional? Okay. In reality, the dung beetle holds special importance in ancient Egyptian culture, but I don't think that's what most people will take away from the trailer. The game will have 8 playable base factions, including 4 Egyptian factions, 2 Canaanite, and 2 Hittite factions. I love ancient Egypt, the mythos, the aesthetic, the epicness of scale. I'm hyped for this. And also this week came the teaser trailer for Destiny 2: The Final Shape. More will be revealed at the Destiny Showcase on August 22nd, but hey, looks like Kate is back and quite grim. But great to have Nathan Fillion back. And in our final story, this week saw the release of the Lord of the Rings Gollum. And, oh boy, it is not good. On OpenCritic, the average top critic score is 40 out of 100, with only 4% of critics recommending the game. Ouch. I can't even think of another game that has gotten such terrible reviews that weren't just review bombs. It seems any kind of positive review was based around enjoying the story, because outside of that, the game is being criticized for having boring gameplay, ugly graphics, tons of bugs and crashes, all while being overpriced. Oh, and there are microtransactions for emotes and voice packs in this single-player, narrative-driven game. On Steam, reviews are mostly negative, and overall the response has just been so negative that the devs put out an apology on Twitter, acknowledging and regretting that the game did not meet expectations. They promise to keep working to fix and improve the game, as well as to keep communication open with the community. I don't envy that job. Communicating with the community after releasing a crap show? I hope those community managers get some big bonuses. And that's gonna wrap up this week's video. But do be sure to have checked out last week's video in which we discussed how Diablo fans were upset by the latest trailer. Thanks for watching. Special thanks to my Twitch, Patreon, and YouTube supporters for making these videos possible. If you like what you see on this channel and want to support the creation of more content, you can consider pledging on YouTube or Patreon, and unlocking behind-the-scenes content, monthly virtual hangouts, and more. If you enjoyed this video, please share it, check out these other videos, and subscribe to join Riker's Raiders for more gaming content.